I want to talk about the STARDOM All-Star Grand Queendom 2025 show that happened on April 27, 2025 from the Yokohama Arena over in Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan. It is a show that has been qualified by many people as being one of the most important, one of the most significant wrestling shows in Joshi history. There are multiple reasons for that. The first reason, the attendance, at least specifically for STARDOM in this case. They drew 7,503 people to the show, which is, I believe, STARDOM's biggest attendance ever. This is their largest assembled crowd to see one of their shows. Of course, you had a rather significant, loser leaves town match at the top of the card with one of the promotion's most significant stars of the past decade or so. So, of course, that's going to draw some people in. But, this is also, I think, notwithstanding that, I think it's also a significant showing of how well STARDOM has been doing recently, because they have been posting good numbers. They're as far as the other Joshi promotions out there in Japan, I mean, none of them even come close to how well STARDOM is doing. I think it's an indication of how well the promotion is doing overall, and if they can keep this momentum going, if they can keep this momentum going, they're going to be in a great spot, and they'll have a legitimate claim to being the number 2 promotion in the country. I mean, this has to be very, very encouraging. Everyone has to be happy with the turnout, with the results, with the production, and so on and so forth. I mean, look, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but one of the reasons why this is considered a significant show for Joshi is the attendance for STARDOM. This has been a gatebuster. This has been a gatebuster for them as far as live attendance. The second reason why this was a significant show was because of the aforementioned career versus career match between Saya Kamatani and Tom Nakano, where it was pretty clear to everyone that Tom was going to lose and that she was absolutely done. Besides, they had already done the career versus career match, or maybe not career versus career, but Tom's career was on the line at the Korakuen show that they held in March, and she lost that. And I believe that since they saw that they were doing really good business, we're like, well, let's run it one more time. Let's run a career versus career match one more time. After all, it is pro wrestling, but I think it was a good idea to try and and run the gamble that they were going to score a really good gate in Yokohama, which they did. So the gamble paid off. But nonetheless, Tom Nakano putting her career up and losing ultimately is a significant event. She has been one of STARDOM's top faces, like just faces. I don't necessarily mean baby face, like a company face for the past decade or so, maybe a little less. But she has been quite ubiquitous within the company, and has been someone who has always been at the center of top things in the company. She's a multiple-time, I think she's won it a couple of times, right? She's a multiple-time World of STARDOM champion. I think she's won pretty much every title in the company. And on top of that, a fantastic worker. She's always been a very good worker, has a very good connection to the STARDOM crowd as well. Just someone significant that you can lean on and that you can always put in big spots and will always deliver. I've always enjoyed Tom's work, and the fact that she is moving on, that she's calling her career quits at a relatively young age is significant. She's 37 years old. We're not talking about someone who is absolutely past their expiration date. I know Joshi wrestlers have a tendency to retire earlier because their bodies get banged up faster since they start doing it much younger. They start training quite young and go pro very, very young. So I understand. I understand that this is not necessarily unusual, at least for Joshi. But she was a significant part of the STARDOM roster, and now deciding to call it quits. It's a significant departure, and I don't think anyone really expected Saya Kamatani to lose because she did win. I don't think anyone was expecting her to lose her career. You know, she's still quite young. She is like right in the cusp of the run of her career, of the push of her career. Like no one's getting rid of Saya Kamatani when she's fully realized and at the height of her powers. No, we're just not doing that. That wouldn't make sense. So, you know, this prospect of getting to see Tom one last time, I believe, attracted more people just outside of the 1,600 or so that they drew at Corkin. Now, a larger venue, more people saw it. Like it turned out into the event it was supposed to be. And the third reason that this show is special in Joshi history is because it turns out it was the final match of Mayu Iwatani in Stardom, which I believe caught a lot of people by surprise. I don't think anyone was expecting that, like in the sense that I don't think this was advertised as such. I don't think anyone was out there saying Mayu Iwatani's last Stardom match. I don't think that was ever put out there. So unless you were really into the tea leaves, unless you really, really followed Joshi and had your ear to the ground and were able to get like some dark, some dark whispers from the corner, from the shadow corners of the internet, I don't think anyone truly saw this as the final time that Mayu Iwatani would be in Stardom. Now, she announced her retirement in the press conference after the show. Well, not her retirement, her exit from Stardom. I want to be careful. I've been using the term retirement a lot when it comes to Tom. But when it comes to Iwatani, like she is absolutely just leaving Stardom. She said that this was her final match and her final date and that she would not be returning with the company. Now, this is a significant departure as well. If anything, Mayu's departure, I don't want to necessarily play this, but it might be considered bigger than Tom's. She is one of the original Stardom stars. She has always been with the company. She began in professional wrestling at the inaugural event all the way back in 2011. So she's been active and involved in the company since then. She started off along with Nene Takahashi and Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. And while most of them moved on, she never did. She truly became the icon of Stardom and became the figure that you most identify with when it comes to Stardom. And her departure for the company is extremely significant. I saw one person who follows Joshi explain it in very plain spoken terms for the rest of us that this is the equivalent of Sting leaving WCW. And no one actually knew this. As far as I know, no one actually knew that this was happening at the show. And again, this was not advertised as such at the show. Like, in no circumstance was this promoted as Mayu Iwatani's last match in Stardom. So, I mean, here's one thing that's significant. I mean, nonetheless, I don't think it's really taking anyone by. I think if anyone is being taken by surprise here, it's just because it's happening very suddenly and no announcements were made, and it's a question of timing more than anything else. Because since Rossy Ogawa departed Stardom and started up Marigold, there has been a lot of talk and a lot of rumors that Mayu was going to leave Stardom to go join Rossy and help him out because the both of them are very close. And a lot of people figured that since she hadn't left from the get-go when he left the company. Well, everyone assumed that it was a contract thing, and that the minute her contract was going to be up, she would go to Stardom. So she would go to Marigold. And it turns out that she did join Marigold. She did the press conference announcing she was leaving. Then I believe it was the next day, Marigold held a press conference announcing that Mayu Iwatani was joining the ranks. And as I'm recording this, she has already had her first match in Marigold against Nene Takahashi. So the surprise is not necessarily that Mayu has left to go to Marigold, but it's more of a surprise. It's more like we all got blindsided. That was like, oh, it's happening now kind of thing, and we're just announcing it, and that's it. When you watch the match, when you watch the match and you see the post match, once Shuri defeats her for the IWGP Women's World Championship, you can tell like it's extremely emotional. I watched it in Japanese, so I didn't get any translations. I didn't know if they were doing live translations or whatever, but it seemed very emotional. I don't know if they referred to legacies and whatnot, but it did seem very, very teary-eyed, tearful, and that something was going on. In retrospect, you're like, okay, we see where this is going. But yeah, look, an icon of Joshi heading over to Marigold and leaving Stardom. I mean, look, she's been with the company for over a decade. What we said, 2011 earlier to 2000, so about 14 years. I can see someone being ready to move on. I'm pretty sure she felt she hit her ceiling there, and there's the loyalty. There's the loyalty to Rossi as well, and on top of it all, she's still like 32. I always had the impression that Mayu was like this super old, she's pushing 40. When I say super old, this is the 50-year-old talking about people who are 40, calling them super old, right? But I thought she was older than 32. I thought, but she's is still in her 30s, and I don't know how in what type of condition her body is in. I don't know how hard it is for her to still keep going, but it seems like she can still get around pretty fine without much issue, and that's cool. If she can go and extend her career and help out Marigold in different ways, that's tremendous, because Marigold's not doing good. As we like to call it here on the MrWarrenHayes show, we like to call it Maricold. Attendance is not good. In-ring is not good. It's a promotion that needs tremendous amounts of help. And if you ask me, I believe that Mayu is being sent in or is being received as someone a bit of a savior. I think she wants. I think someone like her will inevitably raise the bar for everyone. Well, what's the thing about rising rivers raises all boats or something? The raising ocean, the tides raise all boats or something like that. She's the tide. She's the ocean. But that she's going to raise the bar for everyone. And she said it herself on the Marigold presser. She essentially, went out there and she buried the roster, saying these women should not be botching as much as they do. She used the term botch, at least in the translation, right? She said they shouldn't be botching as much. I'm going to fix this, is essentially what she said. Said, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to keep an eye on their training. We're going to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore. And I think this is exactly what this promotion needs. This is what Rossi needs. And he's someone who's going to corral all of these people that they have. They're super duper green rookies, and the couple of legitimate stars that they have there and reinvigorate everyone and just try to do something, because Marigold is not in a good place. It is in a very, very bad place. I had someone tell me recently, because I talked about Marigold on a stream earlier this week, or last week, I should say. And I had someone tell me, I feel you were kind of harsh with Marigold. But it's like, how am I harsh? This is exactly the situation. They have super green people who don't have any direction. They're not necessarily super proficient in the ring. Character wise, promos, all, etc. Crowd connection, they're zilches. So the end product that you get is people don't go because they're not interested, because everyone is just too new, or there's not enough, the top of the card is not heavy enough, or not hefty enough maybe, to carry the rest. And I think someone like Mayu can help that out, but they're going to have to be in developmental mode, because the thing is with Mayu is that, they sold out Korakuen for Mayu's return. When Mayu was announced, this show sold out. So not her return, her debut to Marigold, excuse me. They sold Korakuen out. And a real sellout, from what I understand. Balconies, everything, like a true to form sellout. First time in Marigold history, of course. But like this, again, is probably their bigger gates since, its inception, when Julia was still around. But they're going to have to be in full developmental mode if they want to continue to attract talent outside of, well, Mayu Iwatani wrestles here, because that's going to have diminishing returns. Because at some point, the novelty is going to wear off, and you're going to have to sit through cards with 7, 8 other matches. And if those people underdeliver, well, you're still going to have that stain. So you can only expect / assume that Marigold will improve overall. And I think that's the true target, right? And by getting a superstar, a true to form icon like Mayu, I think that has a possibility to help raise attendance, allow the company to make more money, and therefore make more moves. Because Marigold right now, it's like, someone was telling me, TJPW aren't exactly doing good either. No, but TJPW has a gaggle of really good wrestlers. So while the business side might be so and not as good, let's say, as Stardom, at least the shows, when you see them, you're going to see people that will kick ass and will give you some really good to excellent wrestling matches. Anyway, this is not the Marigold breakdown show. This is the Stardom Grand Queendom. No, the Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom review. So maybe we should get into that. But anyway, look, to wrap it up, the departure of Mayu Iwatani is a big deal, and it will be a tremendous game changer for Marigold. And let's say we look back into Stardom. Let's say we look towards Stardom then, and wonder, well, okay, it'll be a game changer. It'll have a positive impact for Marigold. What kind of impact could Mayu's departure have for Stardom? Well, I kind of think that this show shows that Stardom is fine and will continue to be fine in the absence of Mayu Iwatani. It's preposterous to think that everything in Stardom rested upon the shoulders of Mayu, because it didn't. While she was always a component and an attraction to the company, Stardom has moved into different, bolder directions with other talent, elevating new people like Saya Kamitani, for instance, returning people into prominent positions who were once in prominent positions and helped guide Stardom through some very good times as well. Some record times right up until this point. I'm talking about Shuri in this point. Elevating stars that have been there for a long while and that the audience has accepted and loved, like Starlight Kid, like Izumi, like deciding to, moving forward with Hanan and Sayaida, Suzuki. Like, these are all people that are getting more and more prominent spots on the card. Micah, of course, but she's unfortunately injured. That was also announced at the press at the press conference, but Micah as well. There is a new set of top people, top women in this promotion, and that are doing great. That are doing great. I think it was Rich from the flagship podcast who made a comparison, compared this All-Star Grand Queendom show to Wrestle Kingdom 10. Wrestle Kingdom 10 that marked the end of, Shinsuke Nakamura in New Japan, AJ Styles leaving, an environment where there was this really big turnaround and people were worried and we were asking, oh my God, what are we going to do without all these stars? And guess what? You had Okada step up, you had Naito step up, the company was, and I kind of feel like this is the type of situation that we have here. We're losing Tom Nakano. We're losing Mayu Watani. But you know what? This company's fine. And nature abhors a void. I can't say that enough. And it's something that's really fun to say, especially in pro wrestling. Pro wrestling really abhors a void. So if there are spots that open up, guess what, boys and gals? There's going to be people who are going to jump into those spots and take over. It's going to be just that simple. And it's a trend that we're seeing as well throughout Puro right now. Old guard moving away, creating spots for younger guys to take their spots in their promotions. We're seeing that in Noah with Ozawa being, the top guy there, a big kick, a big fresh kick of youth happening in Noah. New Japan is confronted exactly with the same type of situation. We knew we were losing Hiroshi Tanahashi in January next year. But in the meantime, all of a sudden, Tetsuya Naito also departs the company. So what does that do? Well, now it's time for the young guys to step up. And there are young guys who are absolutely stepping up to become the next big stars of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it's healthy. It's a healthy thing to do. And it's good for the audience. People get excited for that. And I think this is one of these things that is helping Stardom move forward as well. They have an excellent basis of really exciting young stars. Not that anyone is really old in Joshi regardless, but you bear with me here. Let's say new stars that are clicking, that are hitting. And I think this show ends up being a generational pivot, right? Where some of the big stars who carried this spot are now moving on to other things. And here are the fresh faces that you already know. And some of them are already in prominent positions. So that's, it's very, very interesting. I think it's a very exciting prospect for Stardom. Talking all about the future of Stardom and whatnot, and we haven't even started talking about the show. A show that I really liked. Look, ultimately, this was a really, really good show. That I don't know. I feel like this is a great starting point for anyone who wants to get into Stardom. Just to reiterate, because it's new to me to have started reviewing Stardom again. A couple of years ago, I was following Stardom a lot closer when we had Shuri and Utami Hayashishita at the top. those were some incredible matches. Those were some great times, and I really, really loved it. I fell off a little bit, and then started hearing a lot of buzz around Saya Kamatani and whatnot, and I got back into it. I believe like this is my second Stardom show that I review here officially on the podcast. So, you know, I can feel the excitement. I can see it in, you know, I can see it in Joshi fans right now who really think Stardom is in a good place, who are excited about the future of the company. I really think this is a good launching point. I really do. I think anyone who would like to start off, give it a try. I think this is a good point. Anyone who wants to get into Stardom, I think this is a perfect moment to do it. And this show was really good. This was a terrific show. And goddamn, did it look good. The production on the show was second to none. I mean, this is the same. Bushiroad owns New Japan as well. In fact, Stardom is a subsidiary of New Japan. And Stardom the subsidiary has better overall production than NJPW has. That stage that they had, the light set up, the screens, and that they were even doing the Noah, they had the Noah 4K cam that accompanies wrestlers as they're coming down the ramp. They were doing that gimmick, and that looks tremendous. Like, it all looked tremendous. I have no, like, this was a major league show. I was saying earlier that it did great attendance, that if it continues on this momentum, it could cement itself as the number 2 promotion in the company, in the number 2 promotion in Japan. I mean, it looks like this show makes it look like the second biggest promotion. In fact, makes it look like the biggest promotion in the company in Japan, because New Japan doesn't have this type of production value. I understand this is a big show for Stardom. You know, Wrestle Kingdom's a whole other thing, but goddamn, this show looked good. Like, right off the bat, you're like, okay, this is a big time show. I'm watching a big time company. This isn't a rinky dink outfit. I'm into it. Let's start talking. We're going to go with the business end of the card, and then we'll work our way down. There's a lot of things on the show I don't necessarily have a lot of thoughts on, but the things that I do have a lot of thoughts on are really at the top. And anyway, I did deliver a lot of thoughts already. I'm a thought merchant. I'm a thought. Saya Kamatani retained the World of Stardom Championship over Tam Nakano. This was, as we mentioned, also a career versus career match. So she effectively retired Tam Nakano. Again, we were expecting this, but nonetheless, this was an incredible match. Like, this was an absolutely phenomenal match. Look, from the get-go, you want to talk about big time presentations. You want to talk about stars that right now that feel like they're larger than life. You've got Tam Nakano, who's been perfecting this shit for years at this point. Her entrances are always very glamorous. Her getup, her gear, it was all extraordinary. She looked fantastic. Now, Saya Kamatani, I've been raving about her since the heel turn, since I started checking out the heel turn, and being just floored at how well she's transitioned into it and how much she has become this persona, and how it just connects with her, right? How it just like feels 100% completely natural. Her entrance on this stage was extraordinary. I was looking at this woman standing there with her flag, with the fucking flames shooting up from beneath the stage. And I was like, this is the biggest wrestler in the world. This is the biggest professional wrestler on planet Earth. Who's got a bigger, better, more engaging entrance presentation than her? Cody Rhodes, maybe. You know, not Kenny Omega. I'll tell you what, not Will Ospreay. I'm looking at her. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, if I've never seen wrestling ever, if I have never watched a single match of professional wrestling in my entire life, and this is my first match, and I look at her coming in, I say, she probably owns wrestling. Is she the owner of pro wrestling? Everyone has to answer to her, right? She's got to be like the biggest wrestler in the world. Outstanding. Megastar. And this is a wrestler that I was like, appreciated her talent. But, when she was a babyface, I was like, vanilla, I don't know. Good little wrestler, don't get me wrong. But now she gets into this persona. And not only, see, here's the great thing. Here's legitimately the great thing. Because it's one thing to have a cool entrance and, this new persona and whatnot, a heel persona, I should say. But if it doesn't translate into improving your in-ring, and being a better overall pro wrestler, then it's kind of bunk, right? No one's going to sit here and tell me that Saya Kamitani is a bad pro wrestler. And especially after, I find everything she does ever since she turned has been improved. It's smarter. It's snappier. This has been a complete. It's not even a character reinvention. It's not even a gimmick change. It's like it's been a profound connection for her. She's an entirely different person. This is why I lose my fucking mind sometimes when I see these lists pop up. Greatest heel turns of all time. All the most successful heel turns of all time. Hogan at Bash at the Beach, which arguably is, right? Okay, don't get me wrong, okay? That's probably the greatest, most successful heel turn of all time. John Cena at WrestleMania, not WrestleMania, Elimination Chambers, it's no. not when you see it, and then you see Saya Kamitani, but then no one who does these fucking lists doesn't watch anything else than what happens on, that happens on Paul Levesque Vision. If they paid attention to what was going on elsewhere, like Ozawa's another fantastic example. These are great heel turns. These are great heel turns because they have profound implications. They have profound. They bring profound change with them. Anyway, presentation is just out of this world. And people chanting their lungs out for Nakano. Thank you, Tom. And they're doing everything in this match to each other. Like they're doing some crazy ass moves. And then, they're doing like Saya's doing running head scissors on the apron, throwing Tom off, and herself in the meantime, right? They're exchanging poison ranas on each other, German suplexes, drivers, like they're dumping each other on their heads and they're striking. And at some point in this match, they are exchanging headbutts, and their heads are making the most disgusting thud noise. You're like, no, I don't want to hear this. Girls, don't do this for real to each other. It doesn't. It's just disgusting, but dramatic, And the one thing that I appreciated here, as opposed to the match that they did in Corkin, which took me out of the match, was all of the fucking nonsense. There were no cosmic angels out there. There was no one from Hate, as opposed to in Corkin. Whereas at some point, everyone starts interfering, and then it turns into a unit war and it distracts from the match. There was no one out. There was no one there, and there was no bullshit Hate interference. There was nothing. So all we got was a focused one-on-one match that told the story of Kamitani, who I believe I think she was mentored. Could it be? You can correct me. You can correct me in the comments. I will I will admit that my lore as far as Joshi goes is maybe not as complete as in other realms, but I believe like they have a connection. They have a connection that goes outside of this feud that they had. And it starts to show. It starts to show that at some point, Kamitani is not doing this out of arrogance or spite or meanness. She starts to understand the gravity of what's going on. Like she's about to retire someone who mentored her and someone who is significant to the world of Joshi. She's about to take them out, and her demeanor changes completely. And it was a fantastic, it was a fantastic final like couple of minutes where you really see it wash over Kamitani. Like there's no, like I said, there's no malice in this. You know, she just wants to put her away. Of course, she's doing this to protect her. She's doing this to protect her own career. But at that stage in the story of this match, Kamitani's been dominating Nakano. Like Nakano is having trouble stringing offense together. Hell, she's doing her Twilight Dream suplex, I think it's called. She lands it, but Kamitani's kicking out. So she's like, what the fuck do I have left? What do I need to do? So there is a turning point in this match where it becomes blatantly obvious that that Nakano belongs in the past and Kamitani is indeed the future, and the future has to lock in and get and do what it has to do. But Nakano doesn't want to give up. She keeps kicking out of shit, but she doesn't have any proper solid responses. Kamitani at some point towards the end, she lands the Star Crusher, but gets a 2 count because she breaks up the pin. Because she's like, no. We are absolutely exclamation marking this. I am making sure that that everything is clear. They stare at each other. Kamitani wants to put her away in the most definitive way possible. And she does it using Tom's Twilight Dream suplex to get the win, which was tremendous. It's a tremendous finish. And the referee does one of these things where he's like, I don't want to count to 3. And he goes, 1, 2, 3. Like, it's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want there to be like any doubt here. So he's like, Tom, you can do it. And then they have an exchange post-match. They're both like exhausted, spent, and they're having an exchange. I have no idea what they're saying. Of course, I don't, one of these, anime things, I guess, when the top villain and the top hero talk to each other after the hero has defeated them. And, they're just, they're huge, arch enemies. But after the fight, they'll talk to each other with great civility before, I don't know, like the villain passes away, one of those things. And then Kamitani helps Nakano walk up the ramp to go to the back. And as she does, and this was spectacular, feathers start falling from the sky. Just feathers. And the great mood on the screens, and they sort of sit collapsed into each other at the top, Tom sort of leaning against Kamitani. It's kind of like an embrace. They both look defeated. No one is celebrating this. And Tom sort of points to something and lights go out. And I thought that's nice. That's a dramatic way to end the match, all in the spectacle that is Stardom, and there was something really touching about it, even though I don't know what they were saying. I don't know what the whole story is. I was like, this is kind of nice. This is kind of nice. They brought the cinema, but they did it like they did it the right way. You know what I mean? Like they did the cinema the right way. They didn't have like shit happen during the match. You know, it didn't start raining feathers during the match or some kind of, you know, goofy bullshit where it's like suddenly just one spotlight appears and then Tom is like, and it's like, oh, it's a callback from when. None of this shit, you know. They just wrestled to kill each other because one of them was losing their career. And then at the end, well, then the regret kicks in. And this I can buy. This makes a lot more sense to me than having like doubts. You know, Kamitani didn't have any doubts in the match. She just was like, I have to put this woman away definitively. And it breaks my heart, but I have to do it. There's nothing like she, not a fucking dope like Cody Rhodes standing there and is like, should I belt shot the guy who blooded me and stole my watch? You know, like, I don't know if I should do it. Yes, go ahead, do it, you moron. None of that stuff. He saved it for after. So it really doesn't impact the match. So it can either be a nice touch after or something where you're like, I don't care. But it doesn't impact your appreciation of the match. Outside of the finish, outside of the match, they want to walk through, a blizzard of feathers and sit down and point at the sky like, a couple of defeated samurai, but just dueling for the past 3 hours. That's fine. Just adds to the drama, and I'm convinced that the Stardom faithful gobbled it up. And honestly, the visuals were really cool. It was really cool. I'd never seen that, like the feathers and all that. I thought it was pretty nice. It was a very, very different finish, wrap up, post match that I had seen, like creative, and didn't get in the way of the match. That's always my thing. When wrestling wants to start getting a little too special. When wrestling feels like it has to sniff its own farts. That's when sometimes we can get off rails, but not here. This was nice. This was good. So 4 3/4 stars for me. I like this, as I said, more than the match at Korakuen, which I already thought was really good. But this had focus. It was dramatic and such. These two women are incomparable athletes. Just fantastic stuff. Well worth your time. Check it out. Absolutely check this match out. All right, let's keep going down the card. Wonder of Stardom Championship, Starlight Kid, the champion, successfully retained by defeating Izumi. And on top of that, there was a little something, a little extra spice, a little extra kick to this one, where the winner would become the leader of Neo Genesis. Izumi and Starlight Kid are both squad members in here. And they have also been like rivals for forever, it seems. And this was also Izumi's first challenge for one of the top 2 belts of the company, the Wonder and the World of Stardom. So she challenged for the Wonder belt, the white belt, essentially. I love this match. These are 2 wrestlers that I particularly adore. I think these are 2 extraordinarily talented pro wrestlers. Starlight Kid is a complete package. Izumi is extraordinary. I can't believe she's still like only 21. She wasn't that the age that they said she had, right? Let me just check. How old is Izumi? But I feel they said 21. Well, okay, AZM. There you go. 22. This is a situation. It's kind of like Nick Wayne, where you're like, Nick Wayne has been 19 years old for 6 years. You know what I mean? Like he never ages. You're like, you think he's 22. You're like, nope, he's still 19. It's like, it was the same thing with Izumi. I still can't believe how incredibly young she is. And she's tremendous. And Starlight Kid is tremendous. And I love the start of this match because, these are both practitioners of the high speed variant of Stardom wrestling, and they went a little like that to start. Did calm down though, because this is another division, I guess. It's another approach to wrestling. So they did something, more tippy tier, top belt kind of situation. But the pace was good. The Starlight Kid was selling the arm throughout the match. Azumi tried to work over it. Of course, it didn't turn out in her favor towards the end. SLK is doing all sorts of stuff, trying to put Azumi away, especially towards the end. She's doing tiger drivers and moonsaults and all sorts of stuff. And Azumi's just kicking out of everything. She does the star suplex. Azumi kicks out at 1. Azumi's doing destroyers right and left. Azumi even does a double underhook destroyer, which I thought was rad. I haven't seen many of those, but that was really cool. But SLK does an avalanche Spanish fly and a pair of tiger suplexes to get the win. From what I understand, Starlight Kid is working through a bunch of injuries, which kind of hampers her style these days. And quite frankly, I'm like, really? Because she's going really hard if she's banged up that bad. I can only hope that she's not banged up to the point that she's really, really working hurt. There's always, wrestlers always work through, minor injuries. A lot of times they're going to just work through it because, multiple reasons. But I really hope that she's not working through anything serious. I can understand that she doesn't want to drop her spot, but the point I'm trying to make here is that if she's banged up and she's not working to the height of her powers, I'm like, okay, wow, can't wait for her to heal up. Then I guess in this situation, you have these two women who are positioned very high on at the top of the card. Clearly, management sees a lot of potential in both. I think overall between the two, like if I had the pencil, right, I would absolutely continue pushing Starlight Kid because she really is a total package type of wrestler. She can go tremendously. She has incredible crowd connection, incredible charisma, even with the mask. You really continue to capitalize on that. Azumi, I think the only thing that's really missing is that natural crowd connection, because she is an extremely, extremely talented, creative pro wrestler, a phenomenal athlete. I think she is very close, but she's still missing like a singular element, like the Saya Kamitani turn, just that thing that'll flick a switch in her mind, and then next thing you know, she becomes unstoppable as well. I think this was the right decision, but again, like if Starlight Kid is banged up and she's wrestling like this, Jesus Christ, woo, 4 stars for me. Shuri defeated Mayu Iwatani to become the new IWGP Women's World Champion. So we talked about the whole context with Mayu's departure and whatnot, and how we won't go back on that, but but I am really happy. I am really happy that we are reconnecting with Shuri as a top level pro wrestler. Done middling on the mid card, and now we're gonna make things serious again. We're gonna make sure that things are. We're going to make sure that things are back on track with her career, because she is a phenomenal pro wrestler. I was so excited at the last Surrealism show, which I believe was in March as well. Was it March or was it? Well, yeah, it was March, I believe. The last Surrealism show where she fought Suri in the main event. An absolutely bonkers match. An absolutely bonkers fight. And I was like, and I remember doing the review because I did it for my best matches list, and I was saying I don't know why Stardom are having her middle around the mid card, because she's too good. She's too good to not be doing like top tier things. Now, is being IWGP Women's Champion a top tier thing? Well, we could have that discussion for another time. But, you know, being the one who ends Mayu's long reign, right? This is like a 200 some plus days, or no, more than that. 735 day reign. What am I talking about? Yeah, like having Shuri back in this kind of role is really, really exciting, and it makes me happy. And this goes early and it goes hard. They start kicking each other. They go to the floor. Shuri lands a swing DDT on the floor, and Mayu starts selling her neck that would be tender for the rest of the match. Later on in the match, Shuri does an avalanche toss, or like she locks. They're on the turnbuckles, and she locks in a wrist lock on Mayu, and she just like tosses her off. And then they land on the mat, and she's still holding on to the wrist lock, which was phenomenal stuff. A crucifix bomb by Mayu, and they're just dropping each other with suplexes and slams. And Shuri is going back to the submission. She wants to make she just wants to make things really, really hard on Mayu in this match. Essentially, there's one botch in this match. Where there's, I think there was supposed to be like a Rana off the top rope. I'm not quite sure, but it didn't quite work out. But that's, we have to call it. It happened. It was pretty blatant, but these are two pros. Didn't phase them. The moonsault by Iwatani follows. Snapdragon as well with the bridge. German suplex by Shuri follows. And a series of tremendous kicks. And then Shuri does her driver thing, the cross arm. I don't know exactly what it's called, but just fantastic stuff. Incredible match. You can see right there why Mayu is still so good at what she does. She's tremendous, and Shuri is she was one of my favorite wrestlers. What was it? 2023, 2022, 2023. She was one of my favorite wrestlers during that period. She's just phenomenal, just an absolute beast. And I'm so glad to see that she might be higher in consideration here on the roster, that there might be a spot for her a little higher up. But this was great. This was absolutely phenomenal. 4.5 stars out of me. This is probably, this is in fact my second favorite match of the entire show. And yeah, I mean, Mayu wrestled with determination. She wrestled with passion. Of course, everyone except us knew what was going to happen, so it made the whole thing even more special. And Sari, by the way, was there at ringside, and this was really funny because Sari was at ringside. They showed her at the start of the match, and she's in her tracksuit, and everyone goes, "Hey, it's Sari." And then once the match is done, Shuri and Mayu, they do they do the exchange, they talk, blah blah blah, and it's emotional, and Shuri is telling her stuff, and it's probably very complimentary, and Mayu leaves. So then Shuri hits the ring. She's in her tracksuit, and she ain't crying at all. She's like, "Fuck this shit," and she grabs a microphone. And she's like, "I want a shot at your belt, motherfucker." Well, that's not what she said, but like the tone changed so quickly. And Shuri then stopped being emotional. She wasn't crying anymore. Then suddenly she like stone face. It's like, "I'm going to kill you," kind of thing. Because I'm telling you, the match they had at the Surrealism show, which went time, by the way, they went to the time limit. They were laying into each other so bad. It was almost scary. Yeah, listen, I was into this. I was really into this. It was a lot of fun. So probably at an upcoming Surrealism show, I would say we'll get the rematch, or maybe at Stardom. Anyway, I'm really stoked for Sari and Shuri to go at it again. Did I say 4.5 stars? Yes, I did. Tremendous stuff. Yeah. I mean, you know, some people call this like a passing of the torch. And I'm like, okay, I could see it. Sure. But also Shuri has also held the torch once before. So I'm like, an excellent match. This is another one where you have to go out of your way to watch. Then we had the Goddess of Stardom Championship, where the champions Hanan and Saya Ida defeated Hazuki and Koguma to retain their titles. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, no, I like this match. I'm looking over my notes. Oh yeah. This is good. You know, I'm a big Saya Ida guy. I think she's tremendous. You know, she's tiny, but I think she's tremendous. There's really something there. Good physical match. You know, we got some shoot headbutts and we got an apron muscle buster by Ida on Koguma. And I was like, these women are crazy. You know, I was like, okay, this actually rules. And then while both of them, Koguma and Ida, you know, regain their senses after the move, Hanan and Suzuki are just dropping each other on each other's heads. And this is another match, like I mentioned, the shoot headbutts. This is another one where, like, ladies, please stop. Don't do this. Really don't do this. Hanan gets the win with the German suplex with bridge. 3 3/4 stars. This was a blast. It was a lot of fun. I really like this match. It's another match where there's a lot of people that I really like involved in here. Saida and Hazuki specifically. I think they're tremendous. Then we had a match for the Sendai Girls World Championship where Chihiro Hashimoto successfully retained her title against Maika. This was a big fight between two big powerhouses. In fact, Hashimoto really leaned in on the power. But Maika, she was a little more strategic, you know, trying to pick at Hashimoto, you know, work body parts, so on and so forth. Didn't quite work out though. Yeah, this was really good. I don't have many notes, honestly. Big, powerful fight. And it ends with a huge powerbomb by Hashimoto to get the win. This was good. This was very good. Maika, unfortunately, is injured. Not out of this match. She's been carrying an injury for a while. She'll be gone for a bit. That's also something we learned about in the presser. But hey, it is what it is. 3 3/4 stars from me. Suzuki defeated Mei Seira. No DQ match. Suzuki's in her element. She's bleeding. She has another big fight here. I think Suzuki is tremendous. She's got a vibe about her. She's fearless. There's a lot of stuff to like about her. You know, it's no DQ. So, you know, chairs are involved and they're throwing themselves into posts and whatnot. And one thing that I appreciated in this match is that it didn't devolve into a plunder match where suddenly, you know, you're constantly under the ring, digging shit out, chairs, tables. Okay, that's fine. But then, you know, cookie sheets or garbage pails or garbage pail lids and kendo sticks and toolboxes. You know what I'm talking about. And there's somehow there's thumbtacks. You know, it's you know what I mean? It didn't devolve into that. It was actually a smart use of the no disqualification stuff, which then led us to getting like a good, brutal, violent wrestling match in the ring where they're dropping each other on their heads. Suzuki's doing avalanche German suplexes and more Germans on top of that. There's this one spot where Sarah rolls through a German suplex attempt by Suzuki to roll her up like in a cradle, but Suzuki follows through that motion. So you'd be like, you can see the thing where it's like, I'm rolling her up I'm cradling her. I'm rolling her up, but Suzuki just follows through naturally. So you're sort of taken aback. You're going, oh shit. I'm surprised here. So she rolls through the roll through and ends up hitting a German on Sarah, and then Suzuki wins the match with the Sky Twister. Terrific stuff. Terrific, violent. I like it. I liked it a lot. It was a 3.5 star match for me. No, 4.25. What about how? No, that's another thing. Am I confused? Here we go. 3.5 stars for me. 3.5 stars for me. Trust me, that's the one. And before that, we had Meiko Satomura, Mika Iwata, and Yuna defeating Aya Sakura, Natsupoi, and Saori Anu, excuse me, in Meiko Satomura's, I guess, her last trios match. Anyway, they gave her a spot on this card here, they being Stardom. Satomura was on a bit of a retirement run, and at the time that I'm recording this, she has had her final match, which I haven't watched yet. I'm gonna go do that after we're done recording. Yeah, look, I mean, this was a fun little match from, so the Sendai girls got the win here. I don't have many takes here. Satomura looked good. Look, other than this, it's kind of weird to me that Satomura is retiring. And like, I saw her wrestle Sari in February or January at the Sariism show. And she wrestled her there. I've seen her wrestle a couple of times. And I watched her in this match here. And I'm like, why is she retiring? Outside of just like, I want to just take a break from all of this. I'm done. I don't want to grind. I don't want to travel, whatever. Because Satomura can still go. Satomura is still a terrific pro wrestler. Like, if she wanted to do this for years still, she could. Like, she's not out of step with any of these young women that that are coming up after her, or in some cases that she's trained. It's fascinating to me. Like, I don't quite, it could be she's just done, right? But hey, yeah, I thought this was fun. Nothing that'll blow your mind, but crowd was into it. It was another nice moment on this card. The Stardom send off of one of Joshi's most significant figures. 3.25 star. I mean, it's fine. I don't have many notes here. It was fine. It was fun. It was more than fine. It was fun. Yumiko Hata from all the way back in AJW defeated Rina. I wasn't super aware of the card going in. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Yumiko Hata. Really? Wow. Okay. What? Can she still go? Kinda. I would say that this was my least favorite match on the show. I think it was the worst match of the show, quite frankly. I think it was the worst match of the show. I give it 2.5 stars. Mediocre. It's just all right. I don't know what else were happening. I don't know what else you'd call this. Yeah. So Hata defeated Rina, and it's all right. I don't have many notes here. Saya Kurara defeated Tekla in Tekla's last match. This is also part of the news that has been coming out since. And this ended up being Tekla's last match. She is allegedly heading to North America to wrestle. All signs point to AEW, though that has not been confirmed yet. However, in this match here, there was a stipulation where if Tekla lost the match, she needed to join Cosmic Angels. If she won, she got to face Stardom President Taro Okawa in a fight. And the match was okay. Like, I thought it was all right. Not my favorite. I gave it 2.75 stars. But the big thing here was the post-match angle where President Okada, who is in the audience, has a microphone and, basically taunts Tekla because they've been on a long-term feud. They've been feuding with each other for a while. So he taunts her that she's going to be joining the Cosmic Angels Still a very weird stipulation. Why would you want someone in your stable who entered there because they lost a match and are forced to join? Like, the losing stipulation for that person, the punishment is to join your stable. I don't know why that kind of shit doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, so he makes fun of her, and she gets pissed off, and she attacks him, and attacks him proper too. Like, our boy Okada here, the president, the suit, he's taking bumps, and she's messing him up. I'm like, God damn, all right. Okay, brother's into this. He wants to get tossed around. That's fine. But the repercussion here is that Okada, after when he recovers, gets on the microphone and says, you know what? I'm sick of this shit with you. You know, you're fired. So he fires her. So that's how she exits Stardom. I think it puts a nice bow on the story they were telling. And she's gone. She is gone from Stardom, moving on 2 3/4 stars for this match. And then the opener saw Hina defeat Rana Yagami to retain the Future of Stardom Championship. My notes here: fine little match, 3 stars. There you go. So that was All-Star Dream Queendom 2025 from Wonder World Start. What is it again? World of Wonder Stardom? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. From Stardom. A very good show. It's a legitimately really, really good show. It's right up there with some of my favorite shows that I've seen this year. Some exceptional matches, eventful, newsworthy. There's a lot going on in the show. I highly recommend it. If you don't have time to watch it all, I would recommend the top 3 matches. The main event, the Wonder of Stardom Championship, and the IWGP World's Women's Championship. At the very least, you need to get those 3 into your eyeballs. Those were tremendous. And if you have a little time, treat yourself to some Suzuki. Even though, yeah. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a good show. It's a very terrific show on top of that. Let's not undersell it. This was a terrific show. It's well worth your time.